Hi, and welcome to part two of our discussion on seller's brokerage. If you've been following our talk, we've covered the agency portion of selling a piece of property, and now we're going to look at some important considerations on some things you need to consider when talking to various types of real estate agents who you might choose to sell your particular piece of property. My name's Rob Cassom. I'm the co-owner and broker in charge of Carolina Realty Advisors, licensed in North and South Carolina, and have been doing business since 1997. Today, I'd like to ask you a question that has sort of a funny tone to it. If you were going to the doctor, would you let a foot surgeon perform a brain operation on you? And I think the answer is obviously not. And that's the same similarity when it comes to choosing a real estate agent to help sell your particular piece of property. You really need to ask yourself, what type of broker do you need to help sell the particular piece of property that you've got? Now, here is an important consideration when talking to a real estate broker. Any good broker, in my opinion, should be very good at all three legs of what I call the real estate brokerage business model. That means that they need to be very good at marketing, both in their property listings as well as their particular services. They need to be excellent at sales, and they need to be excellent at operations. Oftentimes you'll find that a real estate broker is good at one or two of these particular areas, but not really good at all three of them. And that's something that you need to be very concerned about or look for as you meet and greet, talk to different folks who may be able to help you with your particular property. In particular, I want to talk a little bit about the operation side of the equation, because I think that's where most people think that they're good at, but usually they're not. And here in my mind is something that you may want to consider with regards to the brokerage operation side. The first thing is the transaction management element of this. Now, this is where you would consider a real estate broker's ability to get you from contract to close. This includes due diligence, inspections, title work, those types of things. Contract management items with regards to perhaps the loan, different milestones within the contract, and then what we call closing coordination. And this is just simply making sure that all the parties that are involved with the real estate closing are able to execute their portion of it so that the closing happens on time and as expected. The second piece to this is the investment analysis side. If you're selling a residential home, for example, it might be important to look at the before repair value or the after repair value of the property if in fact repairs would be needed. It's important to consider on investment properties that have cash flows what the internal rate of return would be. It's important to look at the net operating income, the cap rate, the capitalization rate that is, the gross rent multiplier, and potentially the cash on cash. Now, as a seller, you want to look at these items because the buyer's lender's going to be looking at these items on investment property as an example, and if it doesn't meet the bank's requirements, then no matter what the agreed upon price is, the buyer's not going to be able to purchase. The third piece to this brokerage operation skill set, in my opinion, is the market analysis portion, and that includes looking at things like broker price opinions and comps, trends, and different things like that. We're going to look at some examples in a minute on that. And then the final piece is the overall business plan with regards to the particular broker on how they approach their aspect of marketing the property, how they potentially can help you sell multiple properties at one time, and more importantly, the marketing plans and systems that they're actually using. And so these are things that you need to consider when talking to an agent with regards to their brokerage operation skill set in order to find out if they can really help you sell the way you would like them to. Now, as we look at some other important features that brokerage folks need to be aware of and help explain to sellers. The first is the market conditions aspect of it. you need to understand what the market looks like today and in the past and potentially going in the future rather, so that you can help determine what the best selling price is, and more importantly, what to expect during this time frame and how long it might take to sell your particular property. And you do that by looking at comparable sales, looking at absorption rates, looking at the number of active properties in a particular market, and looking at the supply of properties in order to find out where you will be when it comes to looking at selling your particular piece of property. Very, very important to have someone explain that to you. The second piece is the importance of trends and values. Certainly the values have gone up and down, and more specifically down over the last couple years, and understanding where that value ranges with your particular property will help you figure out what the market will bear, and ultimately figure out what you can sell it for and how much money you're really going to put in your pocket and how long that will take. Looking at targets on purchase price and looking at other properties that have sold over a certain time frame with regards to their time on the market is obviously important in helping establish the same thing that I just mentioned. As you look at things within the contract management aspect of it, you want to make sure that your broker is very good at discussing items like milestones within the contract, time is of the essence dates, and other items that will be important to you as a seller in determining whether the buyer actually buys the property or not. I mentioned the buyer's ability to get a loan in the past or earlier in the conversation, and that certainly is one that is important in any kind of an environment, whether the economy is up or down. Selling real estate does take patience, and it takes skill and wisdom. Certainly the right advice needs to be expert advice, because let's face it, there's a lot of money at stake, and there's oftentimes a real need to get out of a piece of property within a certain time frame for various reasons, and it's important that you take the right step with the right broker going forward so that the process doesn't become one that you wished never happened. Now, with that being said, some of the services that we provide, I think in particular that may be of importance to sellers, are things like my 89-point marketing plan. Other things include an easy exit listing guarantee, and I've got 2 guaranteed selling programs that I can use depending upon the seller's particular need. And that's all really designed to help achieve seller satisfaction and, more importantly, performance with regards to selling the property. If you've liked these educational videos and you want to discuss our ability to potentially sell your property, I'd invite you to give me a call, contact me with the information that I'm going to provide to you in the next slide. I do work with only serious sellers who are ready, willing, and able to take action. If you're not sure what action you can take, we can help you determine what that might be. And at the end of that, if you decide that there's just simply not a fit, then certainly no is okay as well in our world. And likewise, if we decide that we can't help you based upon your particular situation, then no is fine with us as well, and we will very very graciously tell you that, so that we don't waste your valuable time. My contact information is here on the screen. You can contact me at my website, email, or certainly phone. And I do want to thank you for taking your valuable time to learn a little bit about the issues that are involved with selling properties, and considerations that you should really think about when selecting a real estate agent to help sell your particular piece of property. And as always, I believe that the right real estate advice does make all the difference. Thanks very much, and I appreciate your time, and have a great day.